morning. So nice to have you join us today. Hope your morning and your afternoon will be off to a fantastic start. If you are like a lot of Americans, you're waking up these days and maybe thinking, do I check my 401k or do I not? What was the market like yesterday? I got to fill up my tank. Are gas prices up or are they down? Money is at the forefront of a lot of our minds right now. So for us, we're going to begin the show this morning with Kevin Fuerst, who is back on the show with Fuerst Financial Group. I guess money's always at the front of your mind, right?
It's always at the front of everybody's mind, isn't it? One of the top five things we all want to talk about for one reason or another.
You know, it really is. I remember when my husband and I were getting married so many years ago, and the minister said, "How are you on money? Do you have the same philosophy?" Because that's a chief cause of divorce among people.
It is. It really is. And having a plan in place, I think, is part of what we do, help people understand the value of money.
Yeah.
The value of income in retirement. Those are all the things that are important. It's really a lot of times not how much money you have, it's how much income does it produce.
Okay, I'm really glad that you went there, because I was going to ask you about a phrase that you enjoy talking about, which is wealth management. It's a real passion of yours. I'm sure there are people who are watching who might hear that phrase and think, what wealth? I have no wealth to manage. That's the key, right, Kevin? It's how do you take the money you earn and make it work for you?
Right. And so two things make money. People make money and money makes money. So in retirement, when we stop working, you have to have enough money to replace the income to be able to do the things you want to do, go the places you want to go, live the lifestyle that you're used to. So building that nest egg is part of your retirement. And I think there's lots of ways to get there. There's stocks, there's bonds, I'm a big fan of real estate. I think real estate is a big part of what we should look at when we're building a portfolio. There's money that we might inherit. I mean, some of us will inherit money, some not. Those are all things you need to look at. Then there's ultimately you're going to pass away. And when you pass away, where do you want that, or where do you want the money to go? We call it your stuff, all your stuff. Where do you want your stuff to go, and who controls your stuff? And so it's just, there's so many avenues when you're talking about wealth management, and in the time we have today, it's hard to talk about all of them. There's taxes, there's insurance, there's the estate plan, and then there's the accumulation of assets, whether it's liquid assets, like I said, stocks, bonds, or whether it's real estate, stocks, bonds. You might have a pension, like you mentioned, the 401k. You've got to be able to put all that together, have a plan, and then have some probability that it's going to work.
I'm sure you see a lot of different types of clients come through your door, and some maybe have a lot of knowledge coming in. Maybe some just say to you, I trust you, do what you're going to do. But do you hope to educate your client on the why behind their investments?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest. I think education is key. It's really part of where I got started. Early on, I did insurance, and so from there, what happened was my grandfather passed away, and I got a real education on estate planning issues and how to, set up an estate so you don't go through some of the problems and traps that he had, and the cost and the time it took to settle his estate was, to me at the time, it was just aggravating and frustrating.
Yeah,
and
you
so
hear that a lot.
What's that?
You hear that a lot.
Oh, and so we wanted to create a system that would alleviate all of that, and so that the stuff, all of your stuff, would go to the people you love, the organizations you love, instead of it going to probate court, the cost of the attorney.
Right.
There's all that's involved with it.
There is that trust factor that is there, and there's kind of a philosophy. Different people are going to look at money in different ways. So I know you mentioned to me today that it's a family business. Your son is 38. Yeah. He's been a part of it for 6 years or so. So for the younger people out there who are thinking, I hear this, I'm hearing about, I've got to start investing my money.
Right.
They might relate very well to your son. They're walking the same path in life. Right,
exactly. And I think the next generation has a different philosophy about quite a few things, and I think that's normal. I don't think that's abnormal. Our generation certainly was different than the previous generation.
Right.
But I think it all boils down to having some type of plan, understanding what you want to do, and then really putting all the pieces together. That really is the hard part for people. And most people, when they come in, they haven't thought about taxes, or they haven't thought about powers of attorney. Those are such simple documents, but everybody needs a power of attorney. And if you become incapacitated, who makes those decisions for you? And it doesn't have to be a long-term incapacity. It could be just a short-term, I need somebody to be able to handle my bills for me.
Right.
All those things are part of wealth management.
You know, in the medical community, they'll say that denial keeps a lot of people from getting the medical care they need because they don't want to hear what they don't want to hear.
Right.
Is that similar in your line of work?
Yeah, and it takes effort. It's like exercise. You have to exercise. You have to actually go out and exercise. Eating right. You have to eat the right foods. Finances. You have to watch over your finances. I had a buddy tell me one time, if you watch a thing, you'll change a thing. And what he meant by that was, if you'll watch your finances, you'll change them to make sure they get in line with what you want to do. And so most people don't watch what they eat, or they don't watch how they're saving money, or they don't watch their marriage, or whatever it is that you want to be successful in. They're not watching it, and therefore they tend to fail more than succeed.
I have about a minute left. A lot of folks are going to say, I'll tell you what I'm watching. I'm watching my grocery bill go up. I'm watching my money go away. So just that old philosophy of try to save something.
Correct. Well, and a budget. Most people, you hardly ever hear about a budget anymore.
Right.
And when I tell people about a budget, or what's your budget, how much do you spend, you could tell, they just cringe, because most people don't. And so a lot of times it starts there. How much do you need to retire on, to live? And some of these ups and downs in the market, we've always had them. And some of it's a long play. You can't live in the moment. If you do, that's not a good...
And one thing I've heard of late is this conditioning factor that people my age, certainly my children's ages, haven't really experienced a crunch. So this idea of having to tighten our belt is a little bit different for us than it has been for previous generations. So for your kids, living on that budget is a great lesson for them to learn.
It is. Being realistic about it, understanding again what your lifestyle is like, and how do you maintain that lifestyle. And that part of that is the budget. And that's why wealth management is so important. It looks at all of those avenues, brings it all together, puts a plan in place, and then gives you peace of mind.
What I love, I say this all the time, but what I love about it when you come is that we never plan ahead, but you're very easy to talk to. You put people at ease, and that's a key part of your success.
Well, I can be meaner if you'd like me to.
That's okay. I'm happy with it the way we got it. You can find Kevin and his son. It is a family business at Fuerst Financial Group. They have been around for 35 years. They've been doing this. They're on Century Oaks Drive in Chattanooga, 899-8555. And the website, I still love this, growkeepleave.com.
Right.
Everybody watching has the ability to have wealth. Great
Correct.
to talk to you.
Did you know you don't have to be 65 years old to qualify for Medicare and Medicaid? Many people who are already on Medicaid also qualify for a WellCare Medicare Advantage plan, which means